when she was young, and she's older than I am. She was in the original Battlestar Galactica TV show as kind of a semi-regular part.
And what was her name?
Carol Baxter. And then she did a few other things. She was in a chorus line. Remember that? And I thought, well, that'd be cool because you worked with, I believe, Gwen Verdon, and was Gwen Verdon's dance.
Oh,
the guy, Roy Scheider played him.
Oh, okay. I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So anyway, she says early on, and I don't know how we got on the subject, but early on, she was talking about, she was in a theater group, young actors, and they were rooming together, and she had a girl that friend who roomed with her, and I guess one of the other guys in the troupe was real sweet on her, and so he was always coming around, and ended up moving in with them, and that was Barry Levinson.
Wow!
I know. I said, what? And he didn't put you in Rain Man, or any of the other things that he's done.
Oh yeah.
And she laughed, but anyway.
It's kind of the old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know, but sometimes who you know doesn't really
that
matter.
happens all the time. I mean, you hire this actor, and he says, who would be good in this part? And in fact, a friend of mine, my neighbor back in the day, was a stunt guy, and he was being the stunt coordinator on Revenge of the Nerds. And and he says, you're casting this guy Ogre? I got the guy for you. And he says, well, we don't know. He says, no, I'll bring him in. And he goes in and he gets Don Gibb, and he says, Don, you got to shave that beard. You got to look like you're in high school and everything. So, he goes over to Don's house, picks him with a shaving cream, and when he shaves his beard, and he walks in, and they said, the Ogre. That's it. Yeah, exactly. What else do you need to do?
I know.
Just read this, do this read just for us. Okay. Are you available next month?
I remember in Revenge of the Nerds 2, he had a beard, and then at the end of the movie, the nerds threw him over. Not the
Did he have a beard in that? Because I know Terry went to a great deal of trouble to shave Don's beard.
Yeah, he finally had a beard.
Because he did. He looked like a biker guy.
He did, yeah. And finally, at the end of Revenge of the Nerds 2, the Alpha Betas threw him overboard on the ship, and he ended up teaming up with the nerds and becoming nerd at the end. And of course, he had his hair slicked back, but he still had the beard as the nerd. And he put on the horn rim glasses like the nerds had as well. Robert Carradine and Anthony Edwards were the two. And, of course, Curtis Armstrong as Booger, although Booger didn't wear glasses.
The movie really, I mean, I remember it at the time, but I don't think I've seen it since.
Well, I thought it was such a funny thing that the preppies were called the Alpha Betas, because all I could think about was the supermarket.
Well, in other areas of the country, they didn't have Alpha Betas.
No.
That was... That's crazy. And so when that particular, after they wrapped, they had a big party after, and Terry had a bunch of people over at his house. He said, hey, come on over to my house, and his wife was, Terry, but Don was a friend of his before that. And anyway, it was fun. I remember meeting the director. And thinking, does your mommy know what you're doing? I swear the director looked like he was 15 years old.
Wow.
Young director. But then again, it was a young movie, so...
Yeah, exactly. And it was a big classic, still is to this day. And they did, I think, about a total of 3 or 4 of them. The third one was more of a made-for-TV movie where Lewis was now this preppy guy. He had a ducktail ponytail in the back, and he was now called Lou and was no one wearing glasses. So he's married to the pretty blonde from the first movie. And his wife was like, well, sheesh, Lewis, I kind of liked you as a nerd better than this preppy looking hip guy. And but I think also, gosh, who else was in that movie? I mean, most of the other cast, including Ted McGinley, he was back in the third movie. And
I must have missed the third or the second for that matter. I'm not sure. I don't think he did the second. I think it was just the first one.
Yeah, because Don Gibb did do Ogre in the second movie.
Yeah.
Most of the cast was there except for Ted McGinley. Instead, Bradley Whitfield was there. And Whitford or Whitfield? Whitford. Bradley Whitford or Whitfield. Forgive me if he's listening right now. The funny thing is, I saw the movie during a Thursday night double header at the old Eagle Theater in Eagle Rock.
Wow,
Thursday nights, $1 got you 2 movies, and so they were movies that had been running for quite a while.
Yeah,
the first one was Adventures in Babysitting, and in that one, Bradley Whitford played Elizabeth Shue's boyfriend, who said, "Well, yeah, I can't go on a date tonight. My sister's sick. She's got the measles or the mumps, and please don't kiss me. I don't want you to catch it." So she felt bad. So this family said, "Hey, can you sit our kids while we're away at some lavish party?" And she said, "Sure, no, why not?" And she had to go downtown, and she found out later on as she's downtown, they're lost, trying to get back, to the suburbs. They see Bradley Whitford's car at the restaurant. So she goes in and notices he's on a date with somebody. So he says to the date, "A girl like you can just come once in a lifetime." Then Elizabeth Shue says, or twice in the same night. And so this one of the guys she was sitting had a crush on Elizabeth Shue's character. And he said, "You're such a loser. I can only dream of having somebody like Chris, and you got her, you treat her like this." And he's about ready to punch her. He's like, "I won't stoop to your level." However, his buddy Daryl, who was tagging along with him, said, "I will," say, shoves Bradley Whitford into the dessert tray display. And then the next movie, he's playing just as jerky of a character in Revenge of the Nerds too. So it's like a Bradley Whitford doubleheader.
Yeah, those I used to do that when I was going to college, and I'd go into Hollywood at the the old. I mean, at that time, and we're going back a few years, they didn't have the multiplex theaters yet, but they did have a few. And I think it was there was one on Hollywood, the Egyptian maybe, where they had 2 theaters, one on either side, and you could, I don't think you didn't get. By then, you couldn't get the double feature for one price, but you could buy a ticket, go to see the other, and then go over to the other theater. And when I was in college, I fried my brain on electronical theory, and so I'd either go to Dodger Stadium, and
so that's where Sylvester Stallone got his Adrian.
Yeah, I'd either go to Dodger Stadium, and it was very cool back in those days, because the guy said, "Oh, well, just go ahead and, it's late in the game."
Yeah, the Egyptian was the theater that Sid Grauman had opened up before the Chinese theater. And I think probably about 10 or 15 years after the Egyptian opened, he then opened the Chinese theater, which became the most popular of his theater endeavors.
Well, it was very cool because you could go in and it was just real, and I went to, I even remember I saw Catch-22 was one of the movies in the double feature, and then I forget what the other one was.
Wow.
But I remember Catch-22, and I thought, Alan Arkin, this guy's going to be a big star. And he is a star, but I thought he was going to be huge.
I think the thing I remember Alan Arkin most from was the In-Laws that he did with Peter Falk, and that was just a classic movie. I remember they were at the bar, and instead of watching sports, they were watching The Price is Right. Except it wasn't even the Bob Barker version. They had the nighttime version with Dennis James on the tube instead.
Oh, wow. Dennis James.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those were that was crazy. But boy, it sure was a nice break from the books,
Oh, yeah.
And then I had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to school, and you got out of the theater after a double feature, probably 1 o'clock in the morning, Well, I got to get up in 5 hours. But, when you're 19 or 20 years old,
you can do
big deal,
Well, I remember when, and then this is what I still do to this day. I like to sneak my own candy in. Because sometimes the candy that you like, they don't sell at the theater.
Oh, yeah, no, I gotten this thing about popcorn. I hate the theater popcorn because they're not using good. It leaves a lot of kernels.
That's why people like to put all that butter on it because kind of camouflage the taste.
I got tired of picking all those out of your teeth and everything. So I said, what's really good is a little bag of Cheez-Its or something. So I'd have to stuff the. But why do you always wear your hoodie into the movie theater? Well, it's cold in there, and it is. But another reason is I had a bag of potato chips.
Yeah, exactly.
Or maybe some M&M peanuts, which their price is about $8. I can get it for $3. So, hey.
Kind of reminds me of the episode of What's Happening where Dee was going to the movies and she said, Mom, I need $2. Like, Dee, here's $1. I was like, well, wait a minute. She says it's 50 cents for the movie, 50 cents for the large soda, and 50 cents for the candy bar. She says, well, I'll tell you what. It's 50 cents for the movie. Okay, well, it's 10 cents for the candy bar at the store. If you need some something to drink, give me some water and bring me back change. That's what Mama said to Dee in response to all that.
Well, I did always have to buy a drink. I'm not going to try to sneak a bottle of Coca-Cola in. Hey, where are you going with that bottle of Coca? Just a minute, you. Back up against the wall, I don't know what they would do.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Get rid of it. Well, they may not. I don't know.
Yeah, but, it all depends. I mean, I remember at the Civic Auditorium, we sold drinks there when I was an usher there, but they would not allow drinks into the theater itself. And you did have some customers that complained, but most, pretty much said, okay, I'll finish it right here.
Yeah, I assume it's going to cost you the price of the ticket and a drink, even if I take a bag of potato chips.
Yeah, exactly.
And I may break down and want some candy or, something. You get going on a movie and give me some more munchies.
Exactly. And it just, and sometimes it helps you beat the boredom if the movie's not very good.
Yeah, I got value for my dollar because, I didn't have much money. But when I can see two movies for, I don't remember how much it was, but let's say $2.50. That was a pretty good deal. And then I got into the Dodger games. The guy would let me in like the 6th, 7th inning for free in the bleachers,
Oh, yeah.
So it was a nice break. But
those are the best stadiums when you can, after several innings of the game, and that those seats are not going to be occupied. The ushers actually
you can
let
do that
down.
at Angel Stadium. You cannot do it at Dodger Stadium. They got guards.
Sometimes.
What level are you on? I'm sorry, sir. You're not allowed to get out of the elevator. But I want to see the Vince Scully newsroom. Well, take a good look. Now get back on that elevator and go back to your cheap seat. Angel Stadium, you could be in the cheap seats, and then about the third inning, just wander down. Hey, nobody's sitting out here. And
oh, yeah. Well, remember back in 2000.
And they don't mind.
No.
Why would you?
Yeah, in 2003. When,
but the season ticket holders at Dodger Stadium will stand for people coming from the cheap seats? Why, no. Those people pay $1 million for those seats up front, and and they've got more money than they know what to do with.
Oh yeah,
and they are the first ones to complain if somebody comes down.
Yeah, I remember.
It really ticks me off.
My favorite place to visit was Camden Yards in Baltimore. This was back in 2003, and the first game we went to, my buddy Dre and I. It was raining, and so it got a little bit delayed in the middle of the game. When the game resumed, we decided, let's sit right over here. And it was just there was nobody sitting anywhere near those seats. So we thought, okay, let's sit here. And we asked the usher if it was okay. He said, sure. In fact, what the usher did, he grabbed some paper towels and wiped the seats down to dry them for us. Even though we didn't pay for those seats, he wiped it down for us. And that just made me give that place a super A+.
Yeah, that's service to all of you cheap seaters.
Well, on that note, we're going to continue with the Talking Archive next time. Before this episode, we talked about air checks, but we got into some great conversations about movies, and that's something we love to talk about on radio. So it's definitely something we're going to continue more about. Maybe there's some more movie stories we have here. So I'm Josh Jacobs with Jay Gardner, and
fun.
We'll be back next time.